Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And this day our daily bread, give our trespasses, Lord, trespass against us. Lead us not in temptation, deliver us from evil. Thine the kingdom, power, the glory forever. Amen.
Shalom, family. Shalom, 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 shalom. Happy feast of dedication and Shabbat Shalom. Happy Sabbath to all our brothers and sisters that scattered to the four corners of the earth. I'd like to welcome you to a Sure Seed of Israel Sabbath class. We missed last week due to I was traveling for work purposes. So it's really I'm really glad to be back here once again before you all. All praises to the Most High. I hope everyone had having a peaceful Sabbath so far. Wonderful Sabbath. I hope everyone out there, if anyone going through anything, reach out to our brothers and sisters. Let the nation know, let your people know that they need to pray. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. So we got to pray for one another, and we got to be there, be that strength for one another, that rock. When one brother fall, we got to pick him up. When sister fall, we got to pick up. We got to do the things necessary in order to build a strong people. And the main thing is keeping these commandments, the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High have given, so that we can please the Most High. We'll get things started as usual by going to Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach 10 and 19. Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 10 and 19. The reader says, they that fear the Lord are a sure seed, and they that love him an honorable plant. They that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed. They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed. So we try to stay dedicated. We try to stay steadfast, so that we can be that sure seed that the Most High can plant out there and bear fruit. That's what we do. We trying to stay away from being that dishonorable seed. That seed that look like it's gonna do something, look like it's gonna go forward, but at the end just falls apart. All praise to the Most High. So we try to be that sure seed. Okay. All praises. Another feast of dedications. All praises. And another Sabbath. We're gonna discuss dedication day. We're gonna go with feast of dedication. Check over at One Nation Israelite School. They have a great class on the feast of dedication. Also check that out. That's a great watch. Great watch. Great watch. Let's go to John 17 and 16. John 17 and 16. Matter of fact, let's go up to let's go to 13th verse. Let's start at 13th verse. It says, and now come I to thee, and these things I speak in the world, that they might have my joy fulfilled in themselves. So the word of the Most High that Yahweh shall speak, it's supposed to be joy to us. His commandments is supposed to be joy unto us. says, I have given them thy word. He's given us the word of the Most High, his commandments. And the world have hated them. And it's saying, because we follow what the Most High want us to do by following his law, statute, commandments, the world hate us. The world hate us because we're doing what the Most High want us to do. It's because the world hated the Most High first. They hate God. They want to put themselves up as God. But we as Israelites, no, we look towards the commandments. We look towards the Most High and have none above him, but none even close to him. And because of that, they hate us. They don't like our way. We can see that clearly by just being on the street teaching, or by sharing the truth with a loved one who's stuck in Christianity. We can see that people look at us as with a hateful eye. It says, I have given them thy word, and the world have hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. So Yahushua Christ is saying here, it says, I'm not of this world. And the world hate them because they're not of the world, because they're following me. We have right now, as everybody knows, what's the 25th coming up, and majority of the world celebrating Christmas. And they try to slide Christ up in there. But Christ right here says, I am not of the world. So he's not with what the world is doing. So it's not him. It's not him. And what Christmas has nothing to do with Christ or the Messiah at all. It has all to do with false pagan gods. Not just one, but a multitude of them. Every little aspect of their so-called holiday spirit or whatever is made up of a number of false gods that they have picked up one little tradition after another. So that fake Christmas is just a tradition of man. It's a wicked tradition that's been passed from millennium to millennium. It has nothing to do with Christ at all. Because Christ says, I am not of the world. He's not of the world. He's not in any of the things that the world is doing. And we're not of the world. We're supposed to be the same way. 15, it says, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from evil. So we see the prayer of Yahushua right here, Christ right here. He said, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from evil. So evil, what is evil? Evil is sin. Keep us from evil overcoming us. Keep us from partaking in the ways of the wicked. And how do you do that? How is that done? That's done by studying and showing ourselves approved. Learning who we are. Learning our heritage. Following the commandments of the Most High. Because if we follow the commandments of the Most High, we should never run into any evil. We should never put ourselves in a situation where evil can overcome us. We'll be away from sin. So it's about walking, being dedicated to the word of the Most High, dedicated to the scriptures. 16, they are not of the world. So we are not, as Israelites, we are not of the world. We're not a part of the world. So we as Israelites shouldn't be celebrating anything that the world is doing, like Christmas. That's not us. Those are not our gods. Those gods was not given to us. We're not even really supposed to be even make a mention in our mouths about those other gods, those false gods. That is not ours. We're here, but we're not supposed to partake in those things. And we got family members partaking in it. We got co-workers partaking in it. That's why when it comes to our family, we gotta still let them know the truth. And if they spirit bear witness with the scriptures that we are providing to show them, hey, what you're doing is wrong. You need to repent. This is how it's supposed to be done. If they spirit bear witness and they take on to it, all praise to the Most High. If they deny it and just walk away like it's not the truth, next time they come again, let them know. Keep letting them know until they get tired of you saying something, to the point where they do the research themselves. Try. But if they become to a point where they're unmovable, just stuck in their ways, then it's time to dust the feet. Pray for them and move on. But we got at least try to spread the truth about this. We have been indoctrinated in lies and falseness since we were born into this earth. Our kids are taught from preschool age in order to pledge allegiance, not to the Most High, but to their government, to a flag. Through cartoons, TV, and media programming, they are being programmed in order to follow the ways of the world. They learning about all those dressed up heathen false gods. They're being taught by we went through that same thing too. Trained that a fat man comes down the chimney and leaves a bunch of presents. So you got to be good. You got to behave. You got to behave because you won't get no presents. So being taught that, who are we truly being obedient to? By being brainwashed like that, we're not getting our obedience to the Most High. Only reason why we so-called behaving by the world standards is because we're trying to get a gift from a white man in a red suit. Our children is trying to be good. They're not trying to be good for the Most High. They're not trying to learn about the Most High. They're trying to please a white man in a red suit. Just being programmed. It's just, so that's why it's important for us to spread this truth to our family members, to our children. Let them know, hey, this is not, this Christmas and all those false days, they are not ours. We have something of our own. That's theirs. They will give it to us. We are a royal priesthood. We are a holy people. We are royalty. We don't do the things that the peasants do. We don't do the things that the help do. The servants do. We walk like kings. We walk like kings. We walk like princes. Supposed to learn these laws. That's why it's important for us to return unto our heritage, learn these laws, and then hold our head up and dare the world to say something. Because as long as we keeping these laws, statutes, commandments, ain't nothing, no one can come against us. No one come against us. Because we got those promises. We know that the Most High will protect us, that He'll keep us. Let's go to Jeremiah 10. That's why it's important for us to teach our children. Don't allow for the world to teach our children how to operate in this world, because they will teach them their ways. They will corrupt them with their wicked ways. That's why we got to teach our children about the Most High. We got to teach our children that follow the to be dedicated to the Most High, to return back unto our true heritage and throw that garbage in the trash can. Let's go Jeremiah 10 and 1. And read, it says, hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. He's speaking not to no one else but to the house of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. Thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. He said, learn not the way. And what have we been taught? What have we been programmed into our heads? It has been the ways of the heathen. So if the Most High telling us not to learn those, then that's the point where we have to forget those things. We got to purge those things, those unclean things out of our mind, out of our atmosphere. We got to say, okay, I was in ignorance. I did not know. I'm repentant. I'm changing. I'm no longer celebrating Christmas. I'm no longer celebrating the things of this world. But I'm going to hold fast to the law, statutes, commandments, and be dedicated. But because of conditioning, because of the point of falseness being marked in our people's heads, a lot of people are going off of traditions. So when we confront them with this truth, it is so bad that this abomination, this falseness out there has become so mainstream that it has become cartoonish. It has become cartoonish to the point where people just look at it and say, oh, that's just nothing. It just dress up. It dress up a play. It's just a thing to do. That's the way it has become to our people, as it's really nothing. Like, it has no consequences. But it's just something to do. And that's bad when we get to that point where we in some falseness and that we see that it is good. We view it as being good. And that's the point where our people is. They so far brainwashed into this system that they look at it as just a game. just something to do. They see nothing wrong with it. But according to the scriptures, it's a whole lot wrong with it. Let's go back to Jeremiah 10 and 2. Said, thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Look at that. Look, the signs of heaven. People be looking at the zodiac signs or whatever. They be looking at their horoscopes. They be looking to that's dealing with constellation of stars in the heavens. It get to a point where somebody can get a bad horoscope reading and they won't even leave the house because they're afraid something's gonna fall on them. It's being dismayed. And that's an abomination to us. That's an abomination. We shouldn't have no kind of dealings with anything like that. It used to be the pickup line. Hey, what sign you is, girl? Oh, I'm this. Oh, yeah, we compatible. Nah, that's falseness. That was not given to us. That's heathens. That belongs to the heathens. That has nothing to do with us. Stay far away from that. That's death right there. That's for the heathen. 3 says, for the customs of the people are in vain. So all these customs, Christmas, Valentine's Day, all these false holidays that they go through, it's in vain. It means nothing. They say, oh, it brings togetherness. No, it don't. People still hate each other. People still killing each other. Get into the holiday spirit. Be good to all people, give. People still going hungry. People still losing their job. It's just the old okadoke to get your mind off of what's really going on behind the scenes. They're trying to get us dumbed up into a false sense of security. But putting their trust in that type of security is not safe at all. It's just an illusion. And after a while, by following the heathen, following the ways, you'll realize that you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled. You've been tricked. Because the first time one of them just totally disrespects you. We just had a situation here in DFW area where the reports of a little boy getting choked. The mother called the police. And guess who ended up going to jail? She did. But she had hope in the police department. She had hope in the government. She had hope in the world. Where's the holiday cheer? Where's the holiday spirit? Where's doing good to all men during this time? It's an illusion, as that sister found out. So it's important we stay away from things like that. If it's important, we gotta let them know. Three, it says, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen. Said the customers are vain. Said one cutteth a tree out of a forest. People get a so-called Satanist, Christmas, whatever they call it, tree. They cut it out of the forest and they hang it in their house. nothing but an idol. That tree is nothing but an idol. If any Israelites pulling that custom right there, that's an idol. So be careful. That's seriousness right there. That's serious right there. Bringing idols into your home. That's something that should never, ever be done. Never, ever be done. The Most High gave us our own feast. He gave us feast that was for us. That was for the children of Israel. We have our own thing. Why do we want to throw our lot with the rest of the world? Why do you want to share other people's things when we have our own thing that was just reserved just for us? We have a first class ticket. This is in the first class section. Plenty of room, comfort. But we choose to sit back and coach. And then give up our seat for someone else. It shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be done. We gotta wake up. We gotta wake up, realize that we are more than what the world tell us to do. Tell us we are. Why is the world trying so hard to keep us down? It's because we are the true children of Israel and we are God's people. But they don't want you to know that. Verse 4, it says, they deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. 5, they are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good. See, there's no good that come out of these false holidays, this falsehood. There's no good. No good. Let's go down to verse 8. And matter of fact, let's go to verse 7, because why should we follow the so-called world when we have the Most High? Let's go to 7. It says, who would not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee doeth it appertain. For as much as among all the wise men of the nations and in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. So everything going on in this world is nothing but a bunch of vanities. Nothing. Waste of time. Nothing but a bunch of games. And look what it said there. It says, but they are altogether brutish and foolish. So if our people, if we try to be a part of the world, and the Lord said they're brutish and foolish, if we're trying to do the same thing, wouldn't that make us brutish and foolish also? So we have to not walk after our own imagination, not walk after the world, not try to fit in. We have to fit in with them. Why do we want to try so hard? I don't understand. They foot has been a perpetual part of our back for many, many years. But we don't have to trim our ways or try to seek love by trying to be a part of them. We got to trust in the Most High. We got to return back to our heritage. And we got to stay steadfast in his word. We got to be dedicated. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. I know sometimes, people look at this law, statute, commandment, especially when we share it with our families. The first thing they say is that no man can keep them. It's impossible to keep. It's not. It's really, really not. It's work. It takes work. It's like trying to getting good at anything. It takes practice. You got to go into study. You got to meditate just to think on it. Just trying to memorize. And same thing with these scriptures. Same thing with these laws. We got to study. We got to show ourselves study. Study, 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 study. We got to be obedient. We got to meditate. We got to continually be in these scriptures in order to get it. We got to, if we're lacking in an area, we have to find the scriptures that help us become strengthened in those areas. If we have trouble, controlling our tongue, we got to find the scriptures that discuss how to control our tongue. If we got a whoremongering spirit, we got to find the scriptures that deal with a whoremongering spirit so that we can become strong in those areas. No man can just sit here. You're right. No man can just sit here and just go and, I'm going to keep all the laws and not read and study, not build yourself up. If that's the case, then no man can keep it. If they're not going to continue learning, continue growing, if they're just going to not read at all, just say, I'm going to keep all the laws. First off, how you going to know what the laws are in the first place if you don't read? So where I said it's a work, it's a labor, it's a job. Keeping these commandments is a job. It's a full-time job. You got to constantly work. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. It says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Always abounding in the work of the Lord. So it's a constant job. Keeping his commandments, pushing the truth is a constant job. It's got to always stay steadfast, always be unmovable. No matter what happened, we got to continue doing what we need to be done in order for us to continue our journey. It says, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. A lot of people speak on this truth, speak on these laws before they even try. They just look at it, oh, that's too much work for me. I'd rather stay over here and celebrate Christmas, whatever. Keep his commandments is labor. It's labor intensive. We work hard. There's going to be times where we feel like we're going to fall, but we get the strength to get through. It's going to be time where we feel down on ourselves, but we're going to get through it. We got to keep working through it. Not give up. That's why it says that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. It's not in vain. It's not in vain. So we got to continue laboring, continue work. It's not easy, but it's worth it. It's worth it to be dedicated. Let's go to Proverbs 3:1. She's got to stay dedicated. Dedication. It takes a dedicated person to walk in this truth. It takes a strong person to walk in this truth, mentally and sometimes physically. You got to be strong. This truth is not for any weak. It's not for the weak. It's for the weak to get stronger. Proverbs 3:1. It says, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments." So that's just like blood pumping through our heart, pumping out blood. It's the same way that the commandments shall pump through our veins. The laws of the Most High shall pump through our veins. Be that dedicated. And our mind, be seared in our mind. It be constantly, no matter what situation we're in, our law will pop up to help us navigate that so that we won't sin. Being dedicated. Standing up for the word of the Most High. How do we stand up for the word of the Most High? Is by being faithful, by being dedicated, by doing and continue keeping the commandments in any situation that we may run into. Let's go to Matthew 24:13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So our labor is not in vain. If we get into these commandments and we try to keep these commandments, we work towards keeping these commandments every chance we get. We work towards studying. We work towards just living these commandments. We having a war for that. It says, but he that shall endure unto the end. That means to the end, not giving up halfway through. It says, he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. That's our salvation right there. That's how we're going to get salvation, is by enduring through any situation. And a lot of our family members, a lot of our people out there, they don't want to go through the labor aspects of it. They don't want to go through the work. They want things easy, to them smoothly. And that's what the world offers them. Is everything smoothly. Look at Christianity. It's just a hodgepodge. Hey, guess what? All you got to do is believe. And that's it. You don't have to do anything else. Just believe. But then they look at the laws of the Most High. Hey, you got conditions over here. You get involved in this, hey, you got things you got to do. It's a job. It's a work in progress. It's labor intensive. So I say this truth is not for the weak. It's for the weak to get strengthened, but it's not for the weak. And a lot of people don't want to go through what it takes to keep the laws. But once you come serving the Most High, you're going through a trial right off the bat. in cases. And sometimes that trial might be a situation that put you somewhere you never thought you would be. But guess what? It's because the Most High is strengthening us. The Most High. If you want to serve the Most High, you want to keep His commandments, okay. But guess what? I'm going to make you strong. I'm going to make you unmovable. I'm going to make you unshakable. You're going to have the faith of a mustard seed. All right. Let's go to John 14 and 21. You got to be dedicated. A lot of people, they don't want that dedication. They don't want to be dedicated to anything. They're used to jumping around from here to there, here to this. They want a smorgasbord of everything. And they look at the world. Look at their events. You got they serving so many different false gods. There's no rules. John 14:21 says, he that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father. And I will love him and will manifest myself to him. We're going to read it one more time. It says, he that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father. And I will love him and will manifest myself to him. Look at that. See, we're not working for none. Our dedication is being noticed. Right here, Yahushua says, he that have my commandments, have his commandments, keeping the commandments, walking in the commandments, doing his commandments, ain't celebrating Christmas, celebrating the feast of dedication. He that have my commandments and keepeth them, do them, put in that work, put in that labor, endure to the end. He it is that loveth me. Hey, that's how we show that we love the word of God, that we love the Most High. By being obedient, by being dedicated. That love me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. That's how we'll be loved of the Father. It's by being dedicated to these commandments. Not by just believing on a name. Not by just doing everything the world tells us to do. No, it's by keeping these commandments. It's by being faithful to the end. It's by staying on that narrow path. It get hard. We're going to go through things, but we got to endure. We got to know that those brothers and sisters that went through worse than what we're going through in situations. They went through worse things, but yet they was faithful unto death. Now we got to look at them and say, hey, if they was faithful to death and they went through the situation like that, I can do the same thing. I need to do the same thing. I must do the same thing. I have to do the same thing. I will do the same thing. I will be dedicated to the scriptures. I will be dedicated to the word. I will be dedicated to the commandments. And if I fall, I'm going to pick myself, wipe myself off, and I'm going to remember that stumbling block that caused me to stumble. And I'm going to strengthen myself so that I never fall down. That stumbling block will never affect me ever again. But I'm going to endure to the end. Why? Because I love the Father. I love the Word. I'm going to stay dedicated. Look how dedicated the world is to their Christmas. They've been prepping for that since what? June, July? You can go to any building or walk around. People are doing the same exact thing. People are out there working two extra job or third job, trying to buy Christmas gifts for their family. But yet these commandments are hard. But you can go out there and work 2 or 3 jobs to the point of exhaustion. But the commandments, no one can keep the commandments. Commandments are too hard. If you laboring that much for something that's in vain, why not put that same labor for something that's good? Something that will pay off. Something that will earn you the love of the Father. The true love of the Father. By showing him love. By keeping his commandments. By laboring. Okay. Well, let's go to 1 John 5 and 3. 1 John 5 and 3. Got to stay dedicated. That's it. Stay dedicated. It's this truth. Being in this truth, you got to be tough. And you got to keep your mind steadfast. If not, you're going to be swept away. You got to stay anchored. 5 and 3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So we got our brothers and sisters out there that's still asleep. We tell them to keep the commandments. Say, no man cannot keep the commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So the word is telling us that his commandments aren't grievous. It's not hard. Anyone that told someone that the commandments are hard is someone that don't want them to keep the commandments in the first place. And we got to be careful on that, because this world is so much misinformation out there. It'll get us all twisted up. Okay. Let's go to Revelations 22 and 14. Okay, sorry about that. It says, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. So we see that by keeping the commandments of the Most High, staying dedicated, laboring to get there, going through those hard times, going through those roadblocks, busting through them, staying dedicated, we see our reward grows. We already know that we enter into the love of the Father, but we also are given the right to enter into the gates of the city, which is the kingdom. So we're laboring. That's our finish line. That's what we're working towards, to have the ability to enter into those gates. Enter into those gates. And the only way we can do that is just by continuing keeping his commandments. And the world don't want us to keep the commandments. That's why they got our people and tried to brainwash us for a while until we broke free, till the Most High woke us up. They put the information out there saying that no man can keep the commandments. The commandments are done away with. That's just a part of the beast. Let's look at a quote from man by the name of Vladimir Lenin. Maria says, the best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves. It says the best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves. Okay. What is opposition of the world? The truth, the word of the Most High, the laws and commandments of the Most High. And we see that pretty much the opinion of the world is saying the best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves. So there's a lot of those so-called churches or religion that's set up. They were set up by people who are head in this world in order to keep us or keep our people in a state of sleep. The state of sleep. Just because we see somebody saying, talking against, the government this, the world this, and yet they tell you not to keep the commandments. They're not telling you to keep the commandments. They're not telling you to repent, but leading you in a totally different way. They might have just been set in place in order to confuse us by the very people that is oppressing us. So that's why it's important for us not to learn the ways of the world, but to just follow the words of the Most High and follow the commandments of the Most High. And we see brothers, and we have brothers and sisters in the past that have stood up, as I mentioned earlier. Let's go to 1 Maccabees. Okay, let's go to 1 Maccabees. Chapter 1 and 1. It says, and it happened after Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chedon, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, so much that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. We see Alexander, the son of Philip, what the world called him Alexander the Great, because they looked to him. He conquered all the dark races that was on the earth. He conquered them, which put them into power. Let's go to 7. It says, Alexander reigned 12 years, then died, and his servants bear rule, every one in his place. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. So we know that that's Alexander. Let's look at Alexander in another place also. Let's go to Daniel 9 and 27. Matter of fact, hold Daniel 9 and 27, and let's go back to First Maccabees 1 and 9. The reader says, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years and evils were multiplied in the earth. So we see at that point right there, so the evils were multiplied upon the earth when these people came to power. Okay. Ted, it says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So he was Greek, he's coming to power. He came to power and he's ruling over the area. Okay. 11, it says, in those days when they're out of Israel, wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are around about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. And it's like some people in the world right now, they love Christmas. We can share the truth with them all day long, but they love the heathen so much that it won't do any good. They want to be a part of it. So even in those days, there were wicked men, just like it is today. There's wicked men that just won't do right. And look what those wicked men do. They go and they try to persuade many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. It's not enough for them to do wickedness on their own, but they also got to include everyone else with them. That's why sometimes be out teaching, we be teaching and someone walk up, and they dispute the scriptures or saying they want to keep the law. Then anybody else who we try to teach, they up there trying to convince them also in order to follow their wickedness. Says, so this device pleased them very well. Then certain people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them a license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. So right there, we see they made a covenant with the heathens. They got a license to actually do as they do. Let's go to Daniel 9:27. And read, it says, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and that torment shall be poured upon the desolate. Okay, let's go back to First Maccabees 1. We see here that the wicked Israelites, they went and made a covenant with this heathen, with Epiphanes, with Antiochus, to do as they do. So they thought they was going to have peace. They thought they was really doing something. Go to 14. It says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, made itself uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant. They started pouring in abominations, things that God hated, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. So nothing but abomination, nothing but sin. Nothing but sin. Okay. That's why it says in Daniel, going back to Daniel 27, it says, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. So we see the covenant. Everything is good right now. Back in First Maccabees, we see that everything is good right now. They all happy. They doing as the way of the heathen. They got their exercises going. They doing their jazzercise. They are doing everything the heathen doing whatever they want to. They lawless right now. 16. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have dominion of 2 realms. Okay, we see that the heathen right now is peace because it's peace right now because we see that he's busy right now. He's busy trying to conquer another land. It says, wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled. Many were wounded to death. Thus they got strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 140 and 40 and third year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. So now, all that cooning that the Jakes was doing, guess what? The devil back. The enemy is back. It was all for nothing. It was just a fake covenant. Only covenant that we got that is real is the covenant that we have with the Most High. Okay. Says now when the see, let's go down there. And entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof, and the table of showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil and crowns with the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He took also the silver and gold and precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasure which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was great mourning in Israel, in every place where there were, so that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of the women changed. So we see right there, he went in and totally disrespected the temple. He disrespected the temple totally. Okay, let's go on to verse 41. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Just like in this world today, everybody, we all equal. We all one people. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So we see that today. Many Israelites who are still asleep, they have consented to the ways of this world. They are consented to following their false by celebrating Christmas. They profane the Sabbath by buying and selling on the Sabbath, to the point where they done established their own day, which is the day of Sunday, which is actually the day of the sun worship, just like it was here. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people. So we'll go back to Daniel 9:27, and it says, and he shall confirm the covenant. So he made a covenant with them. We made it for 1 week, some time passed. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause a sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading abomination, he shall make it desolate. So we see right here in First Maccabees that 1:45 says, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they shall profane the Sabbath and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars, groves, chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. Excuse me. So we see right here the overspreading of abominations. He not only polluted the sanctuary, but also the holy people. He even set up altars, groves, and chapels, idols, and sacrificed swine flesh. Everything the Most High said was unclean or abomination. This guy brought it in. He brought it in. He's doing everything the Most High has set up. He's trying to dismantle it. And it's the same thing with this world today. Everything that the Most High set up, they don't want us to do it. Our people aren't taught to do it. That's why it's important for us to spread this truth and teach our people. Let them know, hey, over here, just because everybody else doing it, it was not meant for you. You are a special people. 48, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. So he did everything that was evil, everything that was profane. He instituted. And look at this world today. Everything that's profane is being done. "50, and whosoever would not do according to the commandments of the king, he said he should die. In the same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all people, commanding the city of Judah to sacrifice city by city." We got overseers over us today, appointed by the government. They call your pastors, they call your so-called leaders, making sure that you not going over to the truth, not keeping these commandments, making sure that you are following the status quo. You can go by some of these churches, they used to see big old Christmas trees all in the church. because it's not a house of God, it's a house of man. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law. And so they committed evils in the land. So by forsaking the law of the Most High, forsaking the commandments, it says, so they committed evils in the land. Committed evils. That's the only way that can keep us from committing evils, is to follow the law of the Most High. That's how the Most High keep us from evil. That's how we are kept from evil. Remember earlier we read in John? So I'm not asking you to take them out of the world, but to keep them from evil. Keep them from evil. And we're being kept from evil by following the laws, statutes, and commandments. By doing what the world does, we are actually committing evils. If we follow the world, we're committing evils. By even just not doing the law, that's doing evil, committed evils. And read it again. 52 says, then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. So we got to stay dedicated to the law, statute, commandments. It's imperative that those who have an ear to listen, we got to let them know, hey, right now you're lawless and you committing evils on this earth. You need to repent and return back to the law, statutes, commandments. That's the only way you can stay away from evil. Stay dedicated. Stay dedicated. So we see all these laws are coming down on our people right here. It may seem that everybody's following, but no. There's people who said, regardless, I'm going to stay faithful unto death. And we're going to read about them right now. Okay, let's go to let's look at more what they was going through there. Let's go to verse 57. Matter of fact, let's go to verse 55. It says, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And they had rent in pieces the book of the law, which they found. They burned them with fire. See, this world hates the Most High. They hate his laws. Look what they did to the law of the Most High. They set it on fire, to burn it. Why would they burn it? It's because they're trying to keep our people eyes off, keep us from studying, keeping our people from learning about the law, passing it on to our children, breaking that chain that the Most High put in, that's set in stone for us. Burned the books, burned the law. And whatsoever was found with any, the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commanded was that they should be put to death. So he said, if anyone was found with the book of the testament, if anyone was found with the word of God, with the Bible, or doing the commandments, they were put to death. That's a lot to scare a lot of people away, except for those who are dedicated. Look what these brothers and sisters was going through back then. They were put to death by the heathen for seeking out life. Did they fall? Some did. Let's read about the others. 58, it said, thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many were found in the cities. Now the 5 and 20th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. See, they just totally, these people don't have no care for the Most High. That's why they got all their pagan holidays out there today, because they have no care. And they got you with it because they polluted us with it. They know who we are. But they want to keep, just like Antiochus, they want to keep us in sin. 60, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. Look at the sisters. The sisters standing up. Sisters say, you know what? I don't care what you say. The Most High told me to keep this law. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to circumcise my child. I know what's going to happen to me, but I'd rather choose to follow the Most High, the word of the Most High, than your word. I'm okay. Read it again. At which time, according to commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. I say, brothers, we gotta, we need our women in this walk also. They go through things just like we go through. When we went through captivity, they went through captivity. When we went through pain, they went through pain. If a sister picking up trying to follow these commandments, don't hinder her. Because we all got to seek out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Sisters and the brothers. And they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit, many in Israel was fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. So they was dedicated. They was dedicated to the word of God. They was dedicated to enduring unto the end. Look at the things that they're going through. If we were faced with, we got to ask ourselves a question. If we were faced with those same set of conditions that today as they were back then, could we stand? Will we be faithful unto death? Would we rather for somebody to take our lives than to break a commandment of the Most High? Are we willing to stay dedicated to this truth? Look at the things that they went through. 63 said, wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was a great wrath upon Israel, going through all that. But yet they stayed dedicated. They stayed dedicated. Dedicated, dedicated. So we got to continue studying. We got to continue strengthening ourselves in the word of the Most High. We got to be dedicated to his word. We got to let the world, that's what the world will do. Let them do. But for us, we got to do what the commandments tell us to do. And we got to let our family and and fellow Israelites who are asleep, let them know, hey, I'm sorry, but you going towards death. You living an evil life. As the scripture said evil's being committed because the laws was not being kept. So we got to keep these laws. We got to do what's pleasing unto the Most High. If you love God, you'll keep these commandments. And then the love of the Most High will come upon you. He'll love you. Well, we got to stay dedicated. Brothers and sisters, they stayed dedicated to the point of death. To the point of death. Right? Let's go to First Maccabees. Four and 5. Okay, let me get a backstory on matter of fact, let's go to First Maccabees chapter 2 and 1. And I read, it says, in those days arose Matthias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, the priest of the sons Joab from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons, Johanan, called Caddis, Simon called Stasi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eliezer called Averon, and Jonathan, whose surname was Apples. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe unto me, wherefore I'm born to see the misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there. And when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temples become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. See, our brothers and sisters back there, they fought and died in order for they don't have to follow these ways of this world. But look at our people today, without even no thought, we follow it. Even though there's so much information today that's saying that all this is nothing but paganism, but yet they still choose to follow. Let's go down to 18th verse. It says, now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yea, and the men of Judah also, such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou with thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. So we see as the heathen do, they try to buy their way by offering gifts. You know, a gift corrupted the heart. You try to offer gifts. Hey, do this right here. Don't worry, we'll give you a piece of the pie. We'll give you these rights. Just do what we do. Just be who we want you to be, or what we have in our mind for you to be, and we'll reward you. Then Matthias answered and spoke with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's word to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all sacrifice of altar, which was at Moed, according to the king's commandment. Which thing, when Matthias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Matthias, like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the Most High being disrespected. I'm tired of the laws getting. But you know what? You dying anyway. You're not even obeying the laws of the Most High. You dying anyway. He ran and slew him right there by the altar. And also the king's commission, and compelled men to sacrifice. He killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. So everybody who was trying to push him into sacrifice, he killed them all. Like, nah. This is for the Most High. Thus dealt he zealous for the law of God, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri, the son of Salom. And Matthias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So the brother said, number 5 said, hey, you know what? They don't kill us anyway. So we might as well fight back. Let's stand up for the law of the Most High. Let's put our faith in the law of the Most High. So let's go to 45th verse. It says, then Matthias and his friends went around about and pulled down the altars, and what children soever they found within the coast of the Israel, uncircumcised, who they circumcised valiantly. They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. So they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of the kings. Neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. Now when the time drew near that Matthias should die, he said unto his sons, now have pride and rebuke God and strength, in a time of destruction and wrath indignation. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. So he was telling his son, said, look at me. I went out there and I went out zealous for the law of the Most High. And I'm not gonna make it. I'm dying. Y'all need to finish this cause. Finish this cause. They fought for the Most High. They stood up for the laws of the Most High. Okay. Now let's go to 1 Maccabees 4 and his son Judas took over and finished the cause for his father. Okay. Now let's go to the 4 and 26. Well, matter of fact, let's go to chapter 4 and 5. It says, in the mean season came Georges by night into the camp of Judas, and when he found no man there, he sought them in the mountains. For said he, these fellows flee from us. But as soon as it was day, Judas showed himself in the plain with 3,000 men, who nevertheless had neither armor nor swords to their minds. And they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong and well harnessed, and compassed round about with horsemen. These were expert of war. Then said Judas to the men that were with them, fear ye not their multitude, neither be ye afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. Now therefore, let us cry unto heaven, if peradventure the Lord will have mercy upon us, and remember the covenant of our fathers, and destroy this host before our face this day. If you read down to chapter 4, read 11. It says that so all the heathen may know that there is one who delivered and saved and Israel. A little short on time. If you read down from chapter 4 4 and 11, and read the rest of chapter 4. Um, you'll see a great story about a great victory, a valiant brothers that fought for the law of the Most High, fought for the law of the Most High, and recovered what was taken, and they stood up for the Most High. They fought. They stayed dedicated to His word. Stayed dedicated unto His word. All praises to the Most High. And this chapter is going into the Feast of Dedication. Okay. Let's go to 43rd verse, 42nd verse. It says, so he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law. I'm sorry, go to 36th verse. It says, then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomforted. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Upon this, all hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up and shrubs growing in the courts, as in a forest or in one of the mountain, yea, in the priest's chamber pulled down, they rent their clothes and made great lamentation and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary. So he chose the priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bear out the defiled stones into the unclean place. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up stones in the mountains of the temple in a convenient place until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels into the temple. They brought the candlestick and the altar burnt offerings and incense and table. And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted. Furthermore, they set loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which they had begun to make. Now 25th day of Casli, in the 148th year, they rose up bedtime morning, and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it, even that was it dedicated with songs and cisterns and the harps and cymbals. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising God of heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offerings with gladness, and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. And that's going into the Feast of Dedication. And that's why we celebrate the Feast of the Dedication. We hold it every single year. And remember them brothers and sisters that fought. They stood up for the law of the Most High. They stood up for the Most High in the face of insurmountable odds. But yet they were not afraid. They say, I'd rather keep the law. And we have to be dedicated in that same sense. All praises to the Most High. Brothers and sisters, do you have any questions out there? I'll place it in the chat box. All praises. Thank everyone for tuning in today. We're gonna break bread. Says, for I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Jesus, the same night in which he betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup, which he had supped, saying this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye often as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. Amen. All praises to the Most High. We're going to go to Matthew 26 and 6. And now when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured on his head as he sat at meat. But when the disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, this shall also this woman have done be told for memorial of her. All praise to the Most High. Brothers and sisters, check out our website at sureseedofisrael.net. We having our talk show, Let Not Your Heart Be Troubled. That's going to be on tomorrow. Check the Facebook page for times on that. With that, brothers and sisters, love each other, pray for each other, bear with one another. Check out Daughters of Proverbs 31. That's for the sisters on Tuesdays. And also check on the Facebook page, Daughters of Proverbs 31, for any changes or additional classes. With that, brothers and sisters, we're going to say shalom.